All right. So one thing that I've found is that anytime I write or respond via email or message, I am a horrible writer and I tend to get misconstrued and my sarcastic overtones don't always make it through. But I just wanted to respond. There's 3 comments by wmickmss on my most recent video about the LDS 70. Link to there. Maybe we'll try that for the first time. He says, we'll go to the first one. Listen to yourself at 125. You don't have a very good reason for why parts of your history are not discussed. If your church wanted to do the amount, well, let's go to 125 and see what it says. So, 125, my video. So I was discussing about how the history or the truth is all there in church history books, and that it doesn't brag about. There I go again. It doesn't brag about harder things, I guess. It doesn't brag about the Mountain Mud Massacre. It doesn't brag about tons of different negative aspects of the church, so to speak. You know, things that would be hard to understand. It doesn't brag about. I want to give also some biblical examples. You know, there's even like in Catholicism or whatever it might be, there's the Crusades that I'm sure they don't brag about. There's tons of different religions that have some sort of negative aspects in their past, and why would they brag about them? This person says, I know the church archives are all there for read. The problem is nobody reads it. They give you way too many other things to read. To be honest with you, I don't read a ton of the other stuff they give me to read it either. I mean, I have ensigns, but like you said, I would rather study the scriptures straight up. I like the ensigns, and I like the general conference ensign, especially, and going to general conference. But I'd rather read from the scriptures and through prayer. It's good stuff. There's an air of dishonesty lingering about the whole topic, and the way you answered it at 125 shows me you know it. So, I really don't believe that there's an air of dishonesty. That's not the right way of categorizing it. I know that there's an avoidance of discussing things they don't know the answers to, because I don't believe that any of the church historians actually know the answers to. They clearly don't believe that the church is 100% false and it's trying to lie and it's doing all these things. Of course they don't believe that, otherwise they would leave, and they wouldn't be church historians. They just don't know the answer, and so if they don't know the answer, why would they try to put doubt into other people's minds when really all that matters is that you have faith in Christ and that you are praying, and the more faith you have, the better it is or the easier it is to receive answers from God. And so while when you have doubts you can be strengthened in your faith, I don't think that they're going to be the one they're going to want to put a whole bunch of doubt into people's minds. They would rather show faith-inspiring things in ways that people can build their faith. That's why when we discussed the first vision, there was Joseph Smith went to the woods, and at first he talked about how he felt bound, that he felt like he was going to be destroyed by an unseen being from the unseen world, and so basically he felt like Satan himself was coming to destroy him, and then he felt delivered by the light that descended gradually above his head, and so he felt delivered by God from right before he was about to be destroyed. And so the reason why missionaries, in my understanding, the reason why missionaries don't teach that portion where Satan's going to come and bind you down when you pray to ask God if it's true is because that scares people. They're like, oh well, if I pray, I don't want Satan to come attack me first. I don't want to have all these temptations. I don't want to be weighed down. And so if you share the inspiring part of that God can and will communicate with you, that leads itself to a lot more, a lot more faith inspiring, where I want to do this. I want to receive communication from God. And maybe you're right. Maybe it would be better to talk about how Satan will try to tempt you or try to pull you down when you're seeking God, because that happens to a lot of people that investigate in the church. I feel they're trying to improve their life in one way or another. They're trying to come closer to God, and then they are pulled back. They're tempted beyond what they had previously to that. Maybe maybe they were used to going out and drinking with their friends, and buying alcohol was a really hard thing. It took a lot of their money, but they saved up for it and they went out and bought it. And then once they start investigating the church and start praying to God, all of a sudden alcohol is coming freely to them, and it's everywhere they turn, and it's really easy to get. And so that temptation's increased, because before they would have had to pay a lot of money. And so, that's just one example that I saw in England a lot, because, alcohol is a lot more prevalent there than it is here in the States. But there's a lot of other examples that are similar. He says, your church leaders are not exempt from making mistakes. I agree. They need to clean out the closet full of skeletons and address the issues like adults. And I think that they've been addressing many of them, and I think it might be too slow for some people, but with the church, they're not always known for being hasty. They like to, confirm and make sure everything they're going to say and do is of God. And some critics might say, well, if they're prophets, then they should just know immediately. Things don't always come like that. Sometimes things come over time, and a few years in the grand scheme of things is actually pretty quick. If you look at all the different scriptures that we have in the Bible, there's a long time span there of revelations. So just be patient and you'll have answers. But that's all I've got for wmickmss today. Been a little long, and I'll try to do better. I usually do these really impromptu, so be patient with me as well. Thanks.